Okay, so it's 4 o'clock, so let's dive in. Um, so we have a good group of people with us today. It looks like we have folks from across Long Island, and perhaps we have folks beyond Long Island with us too. So welcome. It's great to be with everyone today. My name is Ryan Coughlin. I'm an assistant professor of education at Malloy. And I am here to just facilitate a bit today and take care of any logistical issues that might arise and address any of your questions. So I just wanted to give a quick overview of what to expect today. In a moment, I'll introduce Dr. Esposito, who will be running our workshop for today. But I just want to show you around the Zoom webinar platform in case you're not aware or not too familiar with it. So obviously, because it's a webinar setup, you all don't have the video and audio capabilities that you might be used to in Zoom. Although at the end of today's session, if you would like to ask a question rather than type a question in, we can certainly enable those features so we can have more of a personal conversation at that point. But during the webinar, you have two ways of communicating with us. The first is through the chat box. And so in the chat box, certainly throw up any thoughts, ideas, and you can make sure that you choose whether those thoughts or ideas go to either just the panelists, including myself and Dr. Esposito, or to all attendees. Now, the other way you can interact with us is through the Q&A feature. So if you click on Q&A, you'll be able to type up a question. And so if you have any questions that you'd like answered by Dr. Esposito, put your questions in there because it will hold on to the questions and they won't sort of get lost in the chat if there's a lot of conversation going on in the chat box. Now, I know some of you would like to get CTLE credit for today, which we're happy to be able to offer. At the end of the session today, I will provide instructions for a short form that we need you to fill out so that we can get that CTLE credit to you. So without any more noise from me, it is my pleasure to introduce my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Maria Esposito. We are office mates during normal times, so we were just talking the other day about how much we miss being able to physically see and be in the same space with one another. But we're here today, so that's exciting. Dr. Esposito is an associate professor of educational technology, and in today's webinar, she will be presenting on Pear Deck, and the title is Engaging Your Students Remotely Using Pear Deck. So I am going to pass things off to Dr. Esposito, and I will hide my camera so you can focus on who matters right now.
All right, thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. So Pear Deck, if you haven't heard about it, is a wonderful free tool that is offered for teachers, for students to use remotely, and it works with Google Slides and PowerPoint. And so today we have an hour and 15 minutes, and so we're going to spend some time working through so you can actually get a feel for what this application does and how it works. So you'll be a student for a few minutes, and then we'll spend some time actually learning how to use the program. And then we'll have also some extra time for you to practice, and we can share what we are creating on our own. So let me share my screen just briefly, just to show you how I'm setting this up. And then you're going to be an active participant in this workshop. So we're going to give you a task to do on another tab, and I'm going to give you some instructions on how to do that. So first thing I'm going to do is just share my screen. And go into my Google. So I'm in, so we're going to backtrack after I go through all of this, but I'm going to give you your first task. We're going to actually do an instructor-paced lesson using this awesome tool to remotely do this. Okay, in just a moment, it's going to give you a task to do. So what I'd like you to do is you're going to open a new tab just by pressing a plus sign. Now, I know you're probably in Zoom, so you might want to open up Chrome. It's the best one to use. And when you get there, you will open up a new tab. And we're going to do this right now. And I know I have about 20 participants. I'm going to join pd.com. And then in this session, it says to put this code in. So I'm just going to copy it. And over here, it says enter code. I'm going to paste. So I kind of did that a little bit fast. So I'm going to go back so you can see the code. So what I want you to do is join pd.com and then type in this code. Now, what's really nice about this program is that I can see already that 6 students connected or 7 students connected. And when I get to about, I don't know, maybe 18 or so, I can start the class, but the code will remain on the screen. So any latecomers can just log in, join pd.com with the code. So the numbers are climbing. I know you're participating in this activity. If you want to keep your Zoom in a side-by-side window, that would be great. So you can see both sides of what the teacher sees and what the student sees. So immediately I see there are 18. That's when I said I wanted to start. But I also want to show you that when I started my session, I have the ability to use Google Classroom to invite my students. I can give them a link, and then we're going to talk about the dashboard a little bit later. So we got about 18. It's a good number. And notice, like I said, the code is up here to join. So this is actually a presentation through Google Slides, but what makes it interactive is that each slide will have you participating in this activity. Now, you can't navigate through the slideshow because I chose instructor-led, which is myself. So you're stuck on my slide. And so the first one, and you should see this as well, social studies. And now the second one is a Pear Deck slide. And so already I see that 20 people, there are responses coming in. And down at the bottom of my screen, I'm gonna pause for a second and show responses. And here I can see there are responses. And so I'm gonna hold that there for 1 second. So here I see everybody's response as you're responding. And so I don't have to show the responses, but I wanted to show you that you can see. Also, they noticed there was a deleted response as well. So I have the ability to stay on my screen. I have the ability to show the responses to the class to maybe spark a discussion or to discuss anything that's happening. So I have 14 of 24 students responding already. Up here on the left here, it says this is a list layout. I don't know if you could tell, but it's grayed a little bit. If I click on the grid, I can see everybody's responses here. Hi, Palma. It's so nice to see you. Now, remember I told you that this is a free application, which is really, really nice to have. There is a paid version of this application, and I'll tell you as we're going through some of the differences with the paid. Now, here I see everybody's responses, but I know that this is Palma because she wrote her name, but notice how everyone else is anonymous. Well, yes, it is anonymous, and no, it's not anonymous, because at the end, when you close the session or you close this activity, you can get a spreadsheet of who answered which question in your slide. And so it's nice to see it at the end. With the paid version, you can get that information up front. So that's a little bit different. So it's so good to see my fellow students here. You could also see if somebody deleted a response. Let's go to the next slide. And it says, what are the natural resources in your state? And so again, I can show some responses. This is a drawing one. So it looks like somebody made a dot. Now, earlier I showed you at the top of the screen for the responses, I had a list view, which I can see each person's response. There's also this grid view where you'll see all the little boxes and you can see everybody's responses, you know. And then on this particular one, there is a third response review, and that is an overlay. And so as you can see, this might not be the best time to use an overlay, but this is everybody's responses at the same time. So I probably would choose the grid layout for a quick view if we were using this as a discussion point, or if I wanted to show the responses to my students. Again, remember, as we're going through my presentation and I'm talking about natural resources, I don't have to. I can continue talking about this and review your responses later. And so it's really nice for me to have that option. So here's another one. Let's see, this one is, you can circle. Okay, so let's see. So what professions have an impact on how we care for the environment? And you can answer this by typing on the screen, circling, and things like that. Now, one of the other features here, we talked about show responses and hide responses. And you can notice here there's a lock screen. I have 7 out of 25 of you responding right now, or 8 of you. And if I just lock that screen, you can't respond. It's just locked. You could just see what I see and you can't. But I can unlock it and then you can continue responding. So that's a pretty neat feature. Sometimes you can play with your students by locking them in and out. Part of the paid version of this program allows you to change, add a prompt while you're teaching. And maybe I'm on a 90-day, because normally I'm not allowed to see this window. Sometimes they give you extra resources. But I have 14 out of 25, so I'm curious to see your responses and we can talk about them. Again, I'm in this middle grid layout and there are 3. So this might be one of the ones where you want to use an overlay, and this is one, so you can see a lot of circles are here, a lot of circles are here, not as many on medical. And so you can see where your students are answering. A list would be 1 student at a time. Now, this particular slide where there's drawing, that doesn't come up in the spreadsheet. And so the spreadsheet would be for a short answer and multiple choice. And so you wouldn't see who did what in the free version because the spreadsheet wouldn't calculate where you made a circle. So just keeping that in mind. Another one, could U.S. families save money by using these reusable containers instead of disposables? What questions we need to ask? We don't have to answer this one. We'll keep going to show some of the other examples. On average, a student produces 67 pounds. 67 pounds of trash from lunch every year. That means the average middle school makes 40,000 pounds of lunch trash every year. What's something we can do about that?
Sorry, I'm printing something. Is there paper?
No.
Where is it?
So let's see your responses. I see 3. Reusable, no, Anthony. Reusable, that's a great answer. You know, they should probably change their portions as well. Reusable water bottles, of course, but portion is important as well. Yeah, I haven't seen styrofoam in a really long time. These are great responses. Again, I can do the list and see them this way. Notice that there's no overlay here, so you only have the grid and the list. So that's interesting to see. Some math questions. So here would be another one where the students are able to draw. This is just your idea, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. And so again, we have the overlay. Oh, look at that. This is a good one to look at the overlay for. And again, there's a grid view, so you can see what it is at a glance. So here is probably a short answer. I have some notes. Oh, here you get to move a so if I did a grid, you could see the numbers. It's a number response. Interesting. All right. And how many times will they circle the globe? Single-use cups. I remember reading this. 120 billion single-use cups. I know we use a lot of 7-ounce cups, but we reuse them. I wanted to take a look at where I am in my slideshow. I can take a look. I'm going to move on to the next slide. If you spoke to 2 friends about plastic waste and they each talked to 2 friends and so on, how many generations would need to talk to each other before you've impacted 100 people? This is a math question. Another numbers question. See, even without the interactive voice from your students, you still have such a great engagement level. I can see you thinking by your answers. I can see this is an overlay, so let's see the grid. So then we could talk about the differences in your answers and how this is working out. Social emotional learning. Do you notice your mood changes because of your surroundings? Oh, absolutely. On a rainy day. Yes. And then of course, as the teacher, I can change this question and just verbally ask you, or I can do a prompt here, like one that's already created and say, well, how did you feel yesterday in the rain? You know, were you having a great day? And so if somebody wants to, yep, bright sunny days make me happy. Rainy days definitely make me want to stay under covers. Music is such a powerful thing to help change your mood as well. I totally agree. But you know, even without the voice and your physical presence, I still am connecting with you. And I think it's so important to see that a program like this has the students involved in thinking and engaging while I'm teaching about the subject. So it's definitely really wonderful. So we're going to draw an outdoor place that brings you the most joy and peace. Oh, I want to participate. I know where I want to go. Let's see your drawings here. This is great. Oh, a sunny place. Is that a palm tree? Who's drawing the palm tree? Write your name on the slide. Ah, water and a palm tree. Tell me your name. Draw your name on this slide. Sun, water, palm trees. Who are you? We need to travel. Oh, Frank. Frank Lasalo. Let's travel to somewhere warm, sunny, and nice blue water. I love it. So nice to see that we share that. Oh, some fishies. They look like actual goldfish that my daughter eats. Everybody likes the water. Oh, is that a backyard pool? Because there's a house here. Definitely. Water just brings peace, right? I love your drawings. That's the beach. That's sand. I see you. I hear you. Wait, is that a holiday? An outdoor place, so the trees, being on a hiking trail. I feel you. Somebody drew something and erased it. I love it. You can see the little erase marks. How much fun are you having right now? I'm enjoying myself just watching. You know, this looks very wavy, like a lot of waves here. I see beach, I see a stormy ocean, and I see a beautiful sun. I have 15 of these drawings and they all bring such joy. Joy and peace. The beach. Somebody laying on the green towel. I love it. All right. Some sciences. A couple more slides. How do your daily choices impact the environment? Another drawing slide. Yeah, I would say my daily choice of like driving to CVS when I can actually walk there is probably not great for the environment. Oh, Ziploc bags. Unless you reuse them, if that's possible. I have a water bottle. I do my part. All right, what traits of this animal will help it adapt to the changing climate? I have one more minute for my activity. Some of my teacher notes. These are the notes that are on the bottom of my screen, by the way, on my presentation. Wet feet for swimming, feathers to keep warm. Excellent. You guys are so smart. Flippers. And now this one I might want to look at as a grid view as well. Definitely science teachers here. And my last slide. Connect the dots. When we put herbicides in our lawns, how might it impact people in another country or state? Interesting. Already 10 responses. This is my last slide. Contaminates the ground. Poison travels through runoff. Interesting. The birds take the pollen and fly to other areas. Yeah, so we're sharing that. It'd be very poisonous. This is so smart. So now that we have answered these, I want to open up the chat for a minute and I want to hear from you and tell me what you thought of engaging in my presentation. How did you like interacting with this presentation? So you could let me know your thoughts. I'm sure you have questions on how did you do it, how does it work, and all that. We're going to get to the how, and we're actually going to create them. But I just wanted your reflection, your feedback on what you thought and felt during the presentation. So if you feel to open up the chat and type. I see a Q&A. Oh. Kara wrote, I thought it was great to see what the kids would do, teachers during the exercise. So I'd like to be able to participate and see what the Pear Deck is like in the student. Yeah, so definitely the student perspective first, because I can show you how it works, but in your mind, you're really not sure what the end result looks like. And so that was my idea, to show you what the student feels and how they see. It does. Was there anybody who didn't participate? Or did you feel like you wanted to be part of the group and you wanted your answer heard? Jane liked being a student again. It is informative. And it kind of made, it was an interesting topic. I know it's an April topic because it's about Earth Day, but I always feel like it's always a good time to think about the environment. The drawing is a lot of fun for students. And I am going to share with you that the drawing is only free when you use a template like this, where you can just change the answers. When you're creating new, it allows you to do a short answer and multiple choice, which we didn't get a chance to do, but I'll show you what it looks like. Because you could do multiple choice. This is considered short answer, so this last slide. We're gonna make, we're gonna do it right now. We're gonna create one right now. So, how would you like to, that's my next question, how would you like to learn how to create a presentation like this using the free tool? It's a wonderful program. All right, so I would like to suggest that you do it with us. And as I'm moving from step to step, you take a side of your screen and you participate in the activity. And because as I learned that as I'm doing, I'm also remembering what I'm doing. So I'm a hands-on learner. You're free to take it all in and practice whenever you want, but I always suggest to do it with me. Alrighty, so I'm gonna close this chat for a minute and we're gonna start creating this is the how to create a Pear Deck presentation. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I want to open up a brand new slideshow. The Pear Deck add-on actually has to be added on first, but we can do that right from the Google slideshow. So we're gonna use Google today. I'm gonna open up a new tab and I'm gonna type in slide.new. And I don't know if you know this, but if you type slide.new, it also works for slides.new as well. Slides.new or slide.new, you get presentation window. You see the M here, that's for Maria. I'm already logged in. If you're logged in, you'll get a slide. Now, just as an aside, this works for docs as well. So if you say doc.new, it'll open up a brand new doc. I always like to say that because when you're a teacher and you tell your students to take a piece of paper out so they can take notes, they're always like rummaging through or asking a neighbor. Now on their Chromebooks, you just have to type doc.new and that's like taking out a brand new fresh piece of paper. So just like that, we opened up a slide presentation. It's untitled, so we're just gonna name it by clicking into it. And I'm just gonna say sample Pear Deck. And so in order to use the Pear Deck, you need to have this add-on. You need to have the tools for it on your screen. And so what you would do is you'd click on add-ons and you would get add-ons. And while you're here, you're gonna click on Pear Deck. It's always the first one, maybe the second one. But you see, notice I have a check mark and mine's installed. It only takes a few seconds. It might want you to log in, but you can click on this and it'll bring you to the slides Pear Deck. And on here, where my arrow is, you can install it. So I'm gonna close this window because after you click on the install and you go back to add-ons, you should see Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on, and then you can just open it. So when I do that, on my right side, I have all the tools I need to create this engaging interactive lesson. Now, the first thing I wanted to mention to you, because it's really important, is that notice that when you are presenting a Google presentation, there's a present button here on the top, but that's what you use to present a Google presentation, a Google Slides presentation. But what you want to do when you're using the Pear Deck is to click on Start Lesson. It used to say Smart Lesson. Now it says Start Lesson. And this Start Lesson is what allows you to get the interactivity and get the code for your students. So the first thing I want to do is show you the template. And what you want to do is you want to click the arrow down for a second. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. If you didn't hear me yelling at my children. So the first thing I want to show you is this template library. Now it's a little deceiving because if you click on it, like nothing happens, but there's another arrow that's kind of shaking here. If you click on this arrow, you can see that the lesson that I had given you all came from template slides that were here. The social emotional learning, the social studies, the science, and all these little arrows actually take you to more menus. So again, let me go back where it says back, and I can close all of these, and I'm going to open up the template library. Now, you don't need the template library, but it's great to navigate to see what it has to offer. So there are lessons here for the beginning of the lessons. So there are slides here that you can use. You can also have slides that are during the lesson. And so we can go through and create one and try it out as well. So these are just slides that you can use. And down here, we have some learning development and subject areas. So we can click on maybe a social studies one. And they aren't content slides, but they're slides that you would add your content to. So if you notice that this is a text slide. A text slide is what we did before, that short answer slide. This is a multiple choice slide. So if I was to click on one of these, then the students would have the ability to choose on the right-hand side instead of typing in their answer, the multiple choice. So I'm going to start from the beginning here, and I'm going to go back, and I'm just going to take a couple of slides from the beginning. So here I'm going to the beginning of a lesson. Okay. So I'm going to click on it, and it's going to bring it here. Sometimes you double click, it's fine. Or you can drag, I think. Okay. So as you come in and get settled, follow these instructions. This is a short answer. What was your main takeaway from the homework? So you can rename, you can edit this, and you can say, what was, or I could just say, how long did homework take last night? Okay, so that would be a question, and the students write the response. Here is how I know it's a Pear Deck slide. It has a little pear in the corner. So I'm going to go back to mine. I'm just going to say, welcome to our Pear Deck presentation. And so this slide doesn't have a little pear here, but this slide does. That means that this slide is going to be interactive, and this one is just going to be a presentation. This slide, they'll have the option of answering the question like you did before. And now I want to add a third slide. And I'm going to say, where would you like to spend your next holiday? And now you're creating your slide as you would normally do. I mean, this is nothing different than, I'm just going to find a couple of pictures here. I'm going to put a little picture of the beach. And then I'm just going to take a picture of like an opposite polar, like a picture of a snow mountain. So like skiing is perfect. So now this is one of my slides that I created, but I want my students to answer it. Oops, I made that picture really too big. So I want my students to answer this question. And so I want to make the slide interactive. And so that's a good question. How do I make the slide interactive? Because I can use all the templates. I could go to peardeck.com and show you how to get more templates, but I want to make my own slides interactive. And so I would go back on the lesson here, and I would scroll down to ask students a question. And now I have the opportunity to ask them a multiple choice question. Once I click on this, it's going to say, what are your options? So I'm going to say a beach holiday, a mountain holiday, or C, a stay at home holiday. I know my husband would choose that. You could also add choice D, E. Now when I update the slide, it's going to add a little pair at the bottom because now the students are going to choose an option. So now I have a plain slide here. I'm going to just choose a theme so it's not so blah. Yeah, that's much better. So I have my slide that's not interactive, it's just a presentation slide. And now I have a second one where the students are writing, a third one that I created, and now they'll see the responses on the right side where they can just pick one. So also in my notes here, these are the notes that you'll see as a teacher. So it says this is a Pear Deck multiple choice slide. Your current options are A, B, or C, and you could change them here or there. So if you want to edit them, you have to go back to the here. Okay, so let's see. Another option, let's make another slide. And I did choice. We can do text. You already saw a number. But one of my favorite ones is, oops, the library. During the lesson, yeah, it's a statement, true or false. So here, whoops, the students, is this statement true or false? So I'm going to edit this and say, is the statement true or false? You learn how to create a Pear Deck today. So is that true or is that false? And so we'll run through these and see if you can answer them. Alrighty. One of my favorite ones is called the draggable slide. And the draggable slide is here if you agree or disagree. But I've actually seen it in social studies. In fact, it's probably in the template I'm going to show you. So let's add something to disagree. Drag a dot, do you agree or disagree? It's a beautiful day today. Let's see if you agree or disagree. Let me go back for a second because the draggable slide is a lot of fun to use. I'm going to go to social studies and I think it's one of the last ones. Yeah. Draggable slide. So let's add this one. One of my favorite ones to do with my students is this one where locate. So you have these icons, and I would maybe say to the students, you know, instead of labeling or locating, I'd tell them, let's do a fun project and say, if it's a flag, you've been there. Whoops. I'm just going to change the font on here. So let me just make that a little bit smaller. I know it's really tiny. And if it's one of those, you want to go. Gotta just make the font smaller. But you get the idea. You can edit any of these slides. You can even add another slide. So you can. So this is just one box. I can go up here and add another text box. So I can add another one right here. That's a little bit easier than having to change your size of your text. Maybe where you're from. And then maybe the last one can be, so let's see, this one was where you've been, where you want to go, where you're from, or what you want to learn about. We could do that. Where you want to learn about. Okay, you get the idea. So we're going to drag some slides. So now that I have these Pear Deck slides, notice that the one that doesn't have the Pear Deck, the students are not going to interact with. The ones that do have these. Now, if you noticed before I start this lesson, if you notice here it has a little star next to the drawing and the draggable. That's true. They are a paid, it's part of the paid version of this program. However, if you use their template, then you don't have, then you can still use the draggable. So what I suggest is using their template and just modifying it for what you want to use it for. And that's how I get around things a little bit. So when I'm ready with my presentation, again, it could be any presentation you've already created. You can just make your current presentation engaged, interactive by just choosing one of these options. The question has to be on your slide and the answers can be in these formats. So once you do that, you want to start lesson. So you just click the green button. Now, we didn't talk about this earlier, but there's also the student paste, and that's why it's wonderful for remote teaching, because the student paste allows the students to go through your presentation without you as like a homework assignment, and then you can take that spreadsheet and it can be almost be like an assessment for them to see what they know or how they interacted and if they learned the content you want them to learn. So the student paste would be very similar to the instructor paste. If I selected student paste, I would also get a code, but I would get a link for me to share with my students. And the link would take them right into the presentation. Oh, they just changed it to, all right, so we're not gonna go premium. I don't like when they do that. For the instructor view, it should be. So here you can give your students a link and they can actually connect to this anytime that they want. So it can be available for them. The teacher dashboard doesn't work currently because it's the paid version. But if it opens up, yeah, no, it doesn't. I don't think so. Looks like it's just offering, but the student link would allow them to, as long as you keep the session open, they can access the presentation. So if you guys want to just connect just to this one really quick, I just want to show you the draggable. Yeah, again, you can just click on another. It's very easy, and just put in the new codes. The codes used to be 4 characters, and it looks like there may be so many out there that they had to add more characters to their codes. So I have 11. I'm going to start the class. Remember, the code is right here, so it's always joinpd.com. Joinpd.com, and you can connect to it. 13 students. I'll wait till I get maybe 15. My green screen is shaking behind me. Okay, so if I start my presentation, I'm going to go to my next slide. And in here, how long did it take you to do your homework? It was a snap. I love it. So yeah, this is the short answer. Again, I can see them in the grid view. Where would you like to spend your next holiday? Warm or cold? And this one is what we didn't see earlier. You can see how many responses you got for these. No, nobody wants to stay at home because we had the last 6 months at home, correct? That's probably so true. It used to be, I used to always select stay at home, but now that's not an option anymore. That's pretty funny. 0 stay at homes. We already had enough holidays at home. Alrighty, my next slide. So this is one of the ones I really like. This is the trackable. Oh no, this is the true or false. So this is just gonna have 2 options. You can have as many as you want. Yay, no false. I love it. You guys are great. The next one is, it's a beautiful day today. And so again, this one you might want to see the overlay. Somebody was like, maybe it's a beautiful day. It could be somewhere in the middle. It was so sunny. Again, I could do a list so I can see each person. I can see a grid of all those little dots, or I can see an overlay. And then my last slide is, I know I should have worked harder on this one, but a flag is, I just wanted to give you the idea that you can edit these slides. So the flag is where you've been. And the little dot is where do you want to go. The fish is maybe where you're from and what do you want to learn about. So this is great. Look at all these different responses. Wow. Somebody's been, is that Australia down here? Somebody's been to Australia? Oh no, somebody wants, they want to go to Australia. I thought I saw a red flag. Very, very, very cool. This is a fun one. Anything but staying at home. It's so funny. What time is it? 4:48. These have access to the local seconds between 2 seconds. That's so funny. Now, a great slide would be, you know, changing this image to maybe putting an overlay on it of like Long Island to see where everybody lives while I'm teaching at Malloy, to see who's close to each other for making connections for study groups and things like that. So, you know, this is a great conversation starter as well. So colorful. So this is my overlay, but I could also look in the grid view and then I can see here. Now, I remind you, in here, we're not going to get the responses after we close out the session. That's the one we did earlier. Alrighty, so now I want to show you where you get those responses, because we did all 6 of these. So I would go to peardeck.com, and there's tons of resources there. There are videos, there are templates, there are tons of things that you can do there. So I'm going to log in here, teacher login with my Google account. and this is my Google account. I'm going to go to sessions, and it's going to show me that I just had 2 sessions. One was sample. Yep, here are my 2 sessions. So if I click here and I end the session, let me end this one. If I end the session, I can export to a spreadsheet. So I'll go over exactly what I just did. I'll do it again. Now, what's really nice about the paid version is that it'll give you the presentation with the responses so that they can get like a takeaway, which is, you know, like a handout in the slideshow. But here, I have the responses to the questions. So here's everybody's name of who participated in the second one. And here are your answers. Mrs. K didn't respond. I can see she just kind of like worked through. But these are kind of like where, like longitude, latitude lines, I guess, of where you pinned. I guess maybe that could be helpful if you're a math person, can figure out where on the screen they were. Or you can look at this statistically to see if there were similar answers. Interesting. But yeah, the ones that are here are the ones that are short answer and multiple choice. You can see them all. And all their login IDs. So you can see their name and their login ID. So how did I get to this point? I went to just peardeck.com. I made sure that I was logged in because it might say login, teacher login. And if you haven't logged on before, they'll ask you to log on 1 time. And once I see that I'm logged on here, I went to sessions and I saw the sessions that I had. So the dashboard is what is the paid version. It kind of tells you exactly on each slide who answered as well. I can reopen it, I can archive it, and I can export it. Show you the responses to this one. So, oh, that was the same one. Sorry about that. That's what I want. I have to end the session, and then I could, after you end the session, you can always reopen it, but it wants you to end it before. So these are drawings. These are your responses. Does anybody have any questions so far?
So it looks like there are a few in the Q&A and a couple that popped up in the chat. One person asked for help just creating another question slide. I think
Yeah, we can go back and do that. They're not allowed to turn on their sound, is that it? Because we're in a panel kind of view?
So if you're done your presentation, what we can do, I would suggest perhaps going through the Q&A that exists, and then afterwards we can invite people, if they raise their hand,
Okay.
they would click on participants to raise their hand, and then we can unmute them if they'd like to just have a conversation with you, if that's going to be easier. So
You have to do that one at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see, here's the questions. Wanted to know a simple way to use program with my middle school arts was to help virtual students engaged. I think even having the text option is really great. Yeah, because the drawing you can actually type. Where can I see the recording? I think they're referring to the recording of this presentation.
Yep. So the recording will be sent in a follow-up email along with CTLE information for folks. So I'll go through that at the end of the presentation as well.
Okay. So wanted to know a simple way to use this program with my middle school art students. Was that a question or a comment? Because what's really nice is, let me go back to my, my slides. Oops. Because there's an art section that, you know, you can ask questions, you can put your artwork up and ask questions to describe it. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. Oops. Where did I, oh, my screen is too small. If I go back to my slideshow. Really quick. I know I'm right next to my router and it's so slow. It's a hardwire the connection. So I'm gonna go back for all of you who are like want to try this. The first thing I'm gonna do is click on my add-ons. I don't think art was one of the templates. I'm just gonna go check. There are definitely tons of resources for you though to see how you can use it. It's coming, it's just a little bit slow. So is there any other questions that I can answer in there? I see it says 4. Did we address them?
So I don't know if you have them open, but I'll go through. So after the other question, I think this would help keep visual students engaged. So it's a nice comment about that. And then can you show a slide with auto while in a Zoom? Would they be able to hear the sound?
Yeah, so like if I was presenting, then I don't know if that's a part of it used to be free. I'm not sure if they added that. So there's an audio where you can add, there we go. You can add audio to your slides. Could be, if it's not. Yeah, so you can record on your slides. Is that what they were asking? There's also like you can record your audio and you can press audio, you could press so if you wanted them to do this on their own and you wanted to explain something on the slide, you can have your voice explaining the slide. That's definitely an option and it's still something that for, which is really nice. So that's a nice feature. But say you wanted them to go to a YouTube presentation and watch something, I can put a website here in my slide, or I can just put the link on the slide as well. So if I would put like, let me just go to YouTube real quick. But that's a good question. So it works the same way. If it's live, then you can just play your links on your slide, or they can have the link in their website on the side of their screen so they can click onto it. Like if you want like a Google form where they have to answer questions, like another quiz in there, you can do that too. I can just search for, you know, weather. So say I want going with the. So I'm just gonna copy.
Have you ever wondered why we have different seasons?
So here I can just put this. So even though it says an interactive question, they would see this link. So this link would be in their sidebar and they can watch it right in the presentation. So that's one way to add video, but I could also take that link and I can place it here and I can insert, you know, video here. So there's always like a bunch of ways to do the same thing. I can select it and I can have it here as well. And when I'm presenting, I can press this because I have control of my slides, or my students can, if this was something that they can do. So I can show you that. So there's website where they can click on it and they'll see it on the side of their screen. as like almost like a task. Instead of it saying, you know, answer the question with the multiple choice or the short answer, they'll have a link to press, or I can have it here where they can press it right in their slide. And I can add my audio by just pressing record. I just have to allow it. So welcome to my sample Pear Deck presentation. Follow the links on this page and also answer the questions. I save it, add it to the slide. Very simple. And now it's here, so they just click on it. And that's it. And they should probably have to just click on it. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few other that have popped up into the chat box. So one person is asking, what additional features does the paid version have, and is it worth it?
Yeah, you know, I don't know how expensive it is. It's not a Google platform. It works with Microsoft as well. It works exactly the same when you have it, but it is the paid version with the Microsoft because you have to go and navigate to get the add-on as well. You have to have the actual download of Microsoft. You can't use the 365. But yeah, is it worth it? It depends on how often you're going to use it and the features that you want to use. I love workarounds. So the workaround that I use for the 2 features that they would like you to pay for are here. The other thing is the takeaways. The takeaways are individual to the student. So you can always give a handout of your presentation, but if you wanted a handout for them to use as a study guide, then that would be something personal to them because they've already added all their answers and content to it. And so that's one of the features. The other feature is the dashboard. The dashboard is like this little panel on the side that shows you who's typing and what they're typing at the same time, how much time they're typing. One of the greatest features of the dashboard, though, is you can put feedback. You can place feedback on every single question. So you remember how we went and I saw the blocks? The students can get private feedback for their questions. You can say, great answer. You can tell them what the correct answer is. So feedback for every single answer that they give is part of the dashboard. That's also great. So yeah, so I don't know if it costs individual how much it is, but I know that if the school purchases it, it's a lot cheaper because they get like a site license for it. So that might be something you might want to ask your school about. Now there is, and there should be down on the bottom of the screen, you can say join and they'll give you like a 90-day trial. And if they didn't, I would always just go to peardeck.com and show you that. Now I know we have a couple of more minutes. There's actually another feature of Pear Deck that is a lot of fun that I thought was part of the paid version, but it was allowing me to use it today. So this is definitely another part of Pear Deck that I want to introduce to you really quickly. I have to always log in. I'm not sure why.
While you're doing this, one other student, or not student, one attendee asked if this is only for the Google platform or if you can use it in others like Microsoft.
Yeah.
I put a link to instructions for using it on Microsoft for folks. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that.
No, I think it works just the same. I haven't used the Microsoft because I haven't had an opportunity to, but there's a little game that Pear Deck has branched off to called Pear Deck Flashcard Factory. And it's a neat little tool that I don't know how it kind of relates to Pear Deck, but it's an interactive, engaging way for students to study vocabulary. And so it works like this, and we're going to practice it because we have a few minutes. But what it is you enter the term and the definition. So you give them the definition. You can even import, like up here, you can import words and definitions. And then the students have to work together, and there are teams, and you're part of a team, and you have to make an example of that word and write a sentence about it. So it's like a sample picture and an example term or something else that kind of goes with it. I'm going to give you an idea of what it looks like. because it's a lot of fun to play. And it goes along with collaborating during this remote time because the students have to work together on this. So let me just get a list of words and definitions. I'm just going to steal them from Quizlet. So I'm just going to search for weather. And I just want like one that has like a few terms. Here's one, 10 terms. Just gonna click on that real quick. And I'm just gonna export it if it allows me to. So I'm just going to export. And I'm just going to copy the text. And I'm going to import. See if it works. Okay, so I just borrowed from Quizlet some terms and definitions. And so that's all you need to do. Just add your words and definitions, and then you can click play. And again, this is one of the ones where you have to join. But we have about 10 minutes, so join this because you're going to find it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, what it does at the very end of this game is that it'll give you cards. It will, like flashcards. It will go back to Quizlet where you can quiz yourself with these cards. It can also be exported to another game called GimKit. So it's a lot of things you can do with it, but it's a lot of fun to play as well. So I have 9. How many do we have in our group here? We have 30. Wow, we're up to 36. I thought we had 25. Okay, so I'll wait for another 5 to join. It's a lot of fun. You'll enjoy this. It's 11. I'm double checking, seeing if I miss anything. I love this program. 14. Just wait for an even number. Actually, give me one more. See if anybody else. 16. All right. You could always join in. So I'm going to clock in, and now I have 2 groups, a night shift and a day shift, and it looks like they've paired up each other. You can shuffle the teams. I think you could do other things too with them. Here is the join down here. If you can see it, it's LK, LKC, LCG. And once these are, together, I'm going to hit play. And now on your screen, you should be able to draw a picture. So you're working on your flashcard. So you're drawing a picture, and your counterpart is actually writing an example. So if the word is summer, somebody's drawing a sun, and the other person, that you can see the definition of what summer is, but the other person is drawing, is saying, something, you can swim in the summer. So like an example. So that's what you're working on now. So you should have instructions where it says, draw an example of winter, and another person should have, in their group, should have something that says, type an example of winter. Oh, so it looks like somebody just participated. I can see that my students are working together, and now I have a second person, a second group. So once I get, now there's 10 terms. So I know that this keeps rotating on and off. Once I get all 10 terms together, now it does keep going. So you might be getting the second one. Once you're finished with one, you might get it again. I'm going to get about, well, here comes another one. And now I'm the teacher, and I see you guys working so hard, drawing your examples. giving your drawing your samples and giving your examples. I can see there are 3 terms. Here comes another one. You're dropping them in the bucket. There's 4. Are you guys having fun? Here's 5. So let me just go through what I did. This is called Flashcard Factory. So we're in a factory, you're making your flashcards, and I got the, sorry about the buzz. It's my alarm for my dryer. I got the word and definition from Quizlet. I exported that list and I just copied and pasted it right into this. So we have 7 out of 10 terms, and then it generated from whoever joined, it generated my groups. And you're really, collaborating with your partner here, drawing these pictures. All right, so here's 8 terms. Look at them coming in, they're great. So it looks like I got a bunch from the same one. Like, let's see, I got 9 terms. Let's see if I can get one more. It is repetitious, so you probably got more. You probably got the same ones over and over. All right, I think I'm good. That's 5, 11, 9. All right, quality control. Now it's my turn. Now, if we were on, you would work with me and we would say, okay, I think this is a snowflake. Yep, snow. We're gonna know the definition because you have it on your screen. But yeah, that's a picture of a snowflake, and the snowflake would be great. I'm gonna accept it. So it gets an accept. So again, somebody else created this, white fluffy ice crystals falling from the sky. I am going to accept that because that is a picture. Now, if I rejected it, right, because those don't look like snowflakes to me. They look like little stars. If I rejected it, and I'm so sorry, but just to show you, I've never seen a blue snowflake. I'm going to reject this. It's not going to go into the thing. So now it goes out. You see it go flying out. All right, rain, downpour. And I only did that because I wanted to show you what a rejection looks like. But yeah, I'm accepting that. This looked like raindrops to me. Good job. All right. Good job. So now I would have your feedback. The students would be working with me and we would be accepting or rejecting them. The team up here, if you remember what team you were on, you got some points. Good example. Look, got a hat on. That's perfect. I love it. Oh, I didn't mean to accept that one. Sorry. Didn't have enough detail for me. Birds are chirping. Oh, look at those birds. All right. Maybe a little bit of color.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to make sure that I get folks information about CTLE stuff if they have to go right at 5:15.
Okay, sorry.
This is totally awesome, though. I have fun. I'm not a good artist, though.
I'm at the end. All you have to do is print the set, and you can. I'll just show you that you can get a PDF of it, and then we're done. So there you go. So you can print this. You can print your flashcards, and the students can keep them. So see how they have the word, they have a definition, they have an example, and they have a picture. How neat is that?
That's wonderful.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. I wish we had these things back when I was in school. My gosh.
These were a lot of fun. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, not at all. This is wonderful. Technology. I am so appreciative of it. So folks, I am going to invite anybody who wants to stick around for a bit, and we're happy to answer any questions. And at that point, you'd be welcome to just raise your hand. In order to do that, you click on participants and then raise your hand, and we would be able to have a chat. So, and we can actually let you in and have a more active conversation. But before I do that, and I already see that there's one person who has a question there, I just want to go ahead and share my screen with folks so that I can get you the information that you need if you would like to get your CTLE credit. So I'm going to take over the screen for a moment here and just move forward in these slides. So first, just if anybody has any questions about Malloy, Obviously, feel free to email me. You all have my email address. It's in the registration information that you got for this event. So you can certainly reach out to me with any questions about the School of Education and Human Services, or go to our website. I put together a tiny URL so that folks can register for upcoming webinars if they'd like. Next week, we have a wonderful webinar. It's a STEM webinar on the 5E learning cycle. And as far as getting your CTLE credit